A few weeks ago, a man named Robert Fuller was found hanging from a tree in Southern California. And this precipitated weeks of speculation by the media, fire-stoking by Democrats and the left, protests. The left speculated or just openly outright stated that Fuller was lynched. Despite the fact that the police right away said that this is suicide. And they could tell because police respond, unfortunately, to a lot of suicide. Suicide is very common in this country and becoming more common. And it's usually easy to determine and to differentiate a suicide from a murder. Most of the time. You know, a suicide scene and a murder scene do not look the same most of the time, especially to police who do this kind of thing all the time. And yet we were still told, no, this is probably a lynching. Well, in response to the outrage, police did a more thorough investigation. I think they did the kind of investigation where they went further than they would for any other suicide. But they did. And here were their findings from the Daily News. It says the death of a black man found hanging from a tree in a Southern California city last month was ruled a suicide. Los Angeles County Sheriff Alex Villanueva promised a thorough investigation at a news conference to announce the findings. It was revealed that Fuller had a history of mental illness and suicidal tendencies. Sheriff's Commander Chris Marks outlined 3 hospitalizations since 2017 where Fuller told doctors he was considering taking his life. The last was in November when he was being treated for depression at a hospital in Nevada and said that he had a plan to kill himself. Marks also said that there was an investigation into an incident where Fuller allegedly tried to light himself on fire. Also, and this is important, I don't think it's covered in this article, but Fuller used an EBT card to buy the very rope that was used in the hanging. Okay, so it's conclusive. There was no signs of a struggle to begin with. His hands were not bound. No signs that anything occurred against his will. It's open and shut. Case closed. Very sad story. Tragic. Not a story of a murder. There was never any reason to think so, and there were a lot of very clear reasons to think otherwise, especially now. But you notice how the family said that they can't imagine that Fuller would have killed himself. Meanwhile, he was hospitalized 3 times because he was thinking about killing himself. He tried to set himself on fire a few months ago, allegedly. Did the family not know about that? Was Fuller really that depressed, that self-destructive, and his family didn't know? No, I don't know, and I certainly don't blame them for what he did. But I wonder why they were speculating about murder if he was so obviously depressed and suicidal, and someone who's hospitalized 3 times in 3 years with suicidal thoughts. I mean, that's someone who very, very clearly has suicidal tendencies and is struggling, with many internal struggles. In any case, put his family aside, the behavior from the media and the Democrats and the left was just grotesque and disgusting and soulless. They were all more than happy to take advantage of this tragic situation for their own ends. This is truly evil behavior. Again, there was never any reason to speculate that this was anything other than a suicide. The idea that someone could have been lynched by a literal lynch mob in public and nobody witnessed it and there's no video or anything and no evidence left behind is patently ludicrous. Now, I believe that some of the people in the outrage mob, some of them might be dumb enough to actually think that that's possible. But elected Democrats like Kamala Harris, for example, who was talking about this and speculating, especially someone like her who is familiar with law enforcement, she knows better. They all knew better. And yet they were stoking this fire anyway. If they had a soul, I would say they should feel shame, but they don't, so they won't. This video is sponsored by BlinkSale, the revolutionary invoicing software for contractors and small businesses. Spend less time billing and more time making bank with BlinkSale. Get a free trial at the link in the video description.